Okay, so this was the last little exercise on week 2. I thought I'd do a video for this, even though I kind of said in the exercise we didn't really need to do this one. It was a little bit over complex. But anyway, let's load in the data. It is exactly that. It's the customer data we used on most of the exercises for the week. So we can just view it. And we can see, yeah, it's the customer data set that we know and love. We can also look at the columns. Okay, now what we're trying to do is we're trying to find our best customers. And what we're going to do, we're doing this by splitting the customers into groups, into quintiles, um, for these 3 different attributes. So we're basically splitting into 5 different groups. Now, we're not doing it equal by the number of people in the group. We're doing it kind of equal by the value of the group. And one of these is backwards. So a recent customer is a good customer because a recent customer has purchased recently. So we have something called days since last, so days since last purchase. Obviously, a high value of this is bad because it's a long time since they made a purchase. So we just create a new variable and multiply this one by -1, which is days since last reverse. And this is kind of our measure of recency. So let's look at the original data, the days since last reverse, which we're going to create first. Now look at the data. And you can see that we have all these values, and somebody say last purchase was 9 days ago. That's our characterization of a better customer. So we want to find out what the quantiles are, and basically all this does is it takes percentiles. And just let me just show you what this probs equals sequence 0.1 to 2, 0 to 1 by 0.2 does. It basically creates a sequence of numbers. The first value is from, the second value is to, and this is how much we incremented each time. So it goes 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.81. And the idea here is we want to find these kind of percentile proportions in this data set. So let's see what this actually creates. Okay, so we have the recency bins here, and you can see here that we basically have, the quintiles of the data, 100% of the data. So at the 100th percentile, we have -6. At the 0th percentile with the lowest value, -360. And then we just take 20th percentile, 40th percentile, 60th percentile, and 80th percentile of the data and get these cutoffs. And after that, we can assign each of the individual observations in the bin. And of course, we're looking for observations between the 80 and 100. We were looking on the top quintile between the 80th and 100th percentile. We do the same for frequency and monetary bins. Here we go. So here's the frequency bin, and here's the monetary bin. And again, you can see the frequency is the frequency of shop. So the top 20% of consumers had between 16 and 31 shops. And here we are, again, in terms of money, the top 20% of consumers consume between $1,044 and $1,250. So what the cut command does is, so let's kind of look. So we have these kind of cut points. So sorry, we have the data. We also have the breaks. So what the cut does is it takes both the data and the breaks, and then it kind of assigns the different values to the kind of the groups based on these cut points. So it creates, like using labels, it creates 5 different groups. Group number 5 is anybody between this guy, these two, 4 between these two, 3 between these two, 2 between these two, and group 1 between those two. So just kind of common sense, we provide it 1, 2, 3, 6 cut points. If we want 5 groups, we need to give it 6 cut points. Include the lowest value, and we're going from, and the right equals false is just the direction that we're going in. We're kind of going from left to right. So each of my items now in my data now has a group from 1 to 5 based on the recency. We can do exactly the same for frequency and monetary. So here we go. We have my data.frequency, and it will be exactly the same for monetary. And what we're trying to do is we now paste these 3 columns together. We're using the paste command. Remember, I think we did this in another exercise. It's used to paste values into a string. So again, I'm always a little wary of creating these strings, because it's then hard to query this, because it's hard to do numerical analysis on this. But if you just want a quick lookup for your customer, what groups they're in, so you can see here this customer is in group 4 for frequency and monetary, and group 5 for recency, so overall is a very strong customer. Now we're going to create another quintile. This wasn't enough. We're going to create another one based on income. So we're going to do exactly the same. This time we're not even going to set the breaks. We're just going to allow the function, cut function, just to do its own breaks. So again, we've done income in groups 1 to 5. And we can actually use the levels command to see what my levels are for the income. So these are the different cutoffs. It's using scientific notation, which makes it a little bit more difficult to understand. But E plus 4 basically means times 10 to the power of 4. So this is 30,900, etc. And then finally, based on the spending, we actually create a membership tier for our customers. So we look at the spending, and this time we create our own breaks. We're basically creating 4 breaks, which is 3 groups, and let's just look what we created here. So group 1 is for a customer spending between 0 and 250, 250, 1,000, and 1,000 and infinity, over 1,000. And we label these customers bronze, silver, or gold. So we categorize our customers based on their spending. So we can do that. Now let's just view the entire data set. And we look what we create at the end. So you see we have the bins for recency, frequency, and monetary. We've got this string variable where we combine them all. And we've got the similar thing for income. And then we have a membership tier based on how much they spend. So again, we can see this customer here is 455, so it's very strong on all 3 characteristics, 4, 5, and a 5. Is a gold star when it comes to income. Sorry, gold star when it comes to spending, though isn't in the highest income tier. But maybe our brand is not aiming for high income individuals. So overall, that's a strong consumer. Okay, so that really was just kind of showing how to put data into bins and to play around with the binning functionality now.